All right, welcome back. Today, we are diving headfirst into a story that absolutely rocked the AI developer world. We're talking major outrage, tons of confusion, and a whole lot of online drama. Yep, we're unpacking the great Anthropic lockdown.
You know, this one comment from a Reddit user pretty much says it all. It felt like overnight, this entire ecosystem of developers just had the rug completely yanked out from under them. So what on earth caused this massive meltdown?
And that right there, that's the big question we're tackling today. We're going to cut through all the noise, all the speculation, and give you a straight-up, actionable guide on how to navigate these new rules without getting your account shut down.
Okay, so first things first, let's really get into the backlash, because this wasn't just some, minor tweak to the terms of service. For a lot of people, this felt like a huge betrayal. I mean, that's how people were describing it. A rug pull. And you can see why. Developers had built entire tools, workflows, even parts of their businesses on what they thought was a stable platform. It felt like Anthropic was cheering them on, only to slam the door in their face with zero warning.
Just try to imagine it. You come into work and your whole setup is just broken. That was the reality for so many people. Tools that were perfectly fine one day were completely dead the next. And the worst part, the total silence from Anthropic. That's what really turned the confusion into real, genuine anger across Reddit, X, and all the developer forums. All right, to really get what happened here, we need to get into the weeds just a little bit. Because at the heart of this whole firestorm are two things: a really popular open source tool called OpenClaw and the sneaky way developers were tapping into Anthropic's power. So what is OpenClaw? Well, think of it like a supercharged AI assistant that you build yourself. It's an open source framework that lets you create these really powerful AI agents that can do all sorts of things: organize your files, control your smart home, heck, even write its own code. It is incredibly powerful, but, and this is a big but, it can also be insanely token hungry. It just eats them up. Okay, stop and pay attention, because this slide is the technical heart of the entire mess. So, there are two ways you can get access to Anthropic's models. On the left, you've got your normal consumer subscription. It's a flat monthly fee, you get an OAuth token, and it's meant for you, a person, to use in their official apps. And it's super cheap because it's heavily subsidized. On the right, you have the official API. This is for developers. You get an API key and you pay for every single token you use at the full market rate. Now, for a long time, tons of developers were using that cheap subscription token on the left to power their heavy-duty development tools on the right. And that's where the problem started.
So you have to ask, why would Anthropic risk making its most dedicated users so angry? Well, like with most things in business, if you really want to understand the motive, you just got to follow the money.
Let's start with what the consumers were paying. For a flat rate, let's say around $200 a month, you got a mind-boggling amount of access to some of the most powerful AI on the planet.
Now check this out. That same amount of usage, if you bought it the correct way through the developer API, could cost you something like $20,000 a month. Yeah, we are talking about 100 times difference in cost. It was, for a while, the best deal in tech.
So, here's the bottom line. This huge price difference created what everyone's calling a subsidy loophole. You had developers running commercial-grade, massive AI agent workloads, the exact kind of thing the expensive API was built for, but they were doing it on a cheap personal plan that was never, ever priced for that kind of heavy lifting. From Anthropic's point of view, this was completely unsustainable. The business reasons might seem kind of clear in hindsight, right? But the way this was all communicated, or not communicated, is what turned a simple policy enforcement into a full-blown community crisis. And man, this timeline tells the whole story. It all starts back in January with these stealth blocks. No announcement, no email, just broken tools. Then, a month later, they quietly update their official docs to make the ban official. But then, get this, on the very same day, an employee goes on X and posts, "Nothing is changing." I mean, what? It directly contradicted the docs and what users were seeing with their own eyes.
And this is where things just evolved into pure chaos. Because for every single developer screaming that they were blocked, someone else would pop into the thread and say this, mine still works.
But right below that comment, you'd see this one. People were getting completely opposite results. This total lack of consistency made it absolutely impossible for the community to figure out what was going on or what the new rules of the road actually were.
So this was the official, well, kind of official explanation that eventually trickled out.
But most people didn't see this as a real apology or a reversal. They saw it as pure PR damage control. The subtext was basically, yeah, the ban is real. We're just sorry we were so bad at telling you about it.
Okay, so after all of that drama, all that confusion, where do we actually stand? Let's cut to the chase and lay out a clear plan for how you can move forward and, most importantly, keep your account in good standing. Here is the final verdict, plain and simple. The party's over. The subsidy loophole is officially closed. No matter how messy the rollout was, the policy is now crystal clear. Using your cheap subscription token to power tools like OpenClaw is against the rules. Period. You have to use the official API keys and pay per token for that stuff now. So here's your survival guide, your checklist. Number 1, and this is the most important, switch to official API keys for any third-party tool. If it's not Claude.ai, use an API key. 2, don't get cute and try to spoof the client ID to make your tool look like an official app. They will figure it out and you will get banned. 3, use your subscription for what it was meant for, your own personal use inside their official apps. And finally, a really practical tip. Do an audit of your token usage. A lot of developers realized they were burning expensive tokens on simple tasks that a cheaper, smaller model could have handled just fine.
Now, of course, the developer community didn't just complain. They immediately started finding workarounds and alternatives. If you're looking to branch out, people have been really praising Minimax and its subscription plan. Agent Zero is another one that keeps popping up as a more secure and token-efficient option. And you should definitely keep an eye on competitors like Z.AI's GLM. Their models are getting scarily good real fast.
And we have to talk about this because it goes way beyond just cost. Security experts at CrowdStrike put out this stark warning. They said that a poorly configured OpenClaw agent, because it has such deep access to your systems, could literally become a backdoor for hackers. It's a huge reminder that with this kind of incredible power comes a massive responsibility to lock things down.
You know, when you zoom out, this whole fiasco leaves us with a much bigger question. Is this just Anthropic closing a loophole? Or is it the first step in building a walled garden? As these huge AI platforms grow up, are we seeing the end of that open, experimental, Wild West era of development? An era that's now forcing developers to pick a platform and play strictly by their rules? I guess only time is going to tell.